Greetings to you, Crocodile Army. I already had a perfectly good video on hurricanes and climate change uploaded and scheduled, but then the leader of the free world said that the athletes who protest police brutality by kneeling during the national anthem should be fired. I asked my patrons whether or not that I should make this video and postpone the other for next week, and the answer was definitely yes. So here we are. One of my favorite things that Senator Al Franken said in one of his books was something along the lines of, "A lot of conservatives love their country the way a 6-year-old loves their mommy." Now, that kind of love can be totally adorable, but it's not a great way for adults to go about deciding who has offended their country. I had people on my personal Facebook page telling me that they knew kneeling for the anthem was offensive because they were in the military. Meanwhile, I had other former military friends who were agreeing with me. It was equal parts bizarre and amusing. Now, before anyone starts typing in all caps rage in the comments section, this video is not about whether this protest will ultimately be effective. I don't know the answer to that, or even what a reasonable objective measure of effectiveness would be. Colin Kaepernick and others have donated millions, apparently, to organizations dedicated to increasing the chances of someone surviving a run-in with the police, and I think that's good. Granted, it's hard to know if these education efforts result in someone's life being saved anyway, so I don't have a strong opinion on it. If you're going to loudly complain that this isn't going to be effective, it shouldn't be to the 5'9", 171-pound guy who has never been paid to play any sport. I mean, after all, I'm not the one protesting. Why should I be worried?
But you're not black. Remember, we only kill black people. Yeah, we only kill black people, right?
Yes, I know the cop was kidding, but it was still pretty stupid. Okay, so let's talk about whether I see the protest as legitimate or not. I do have a strong opinion on that. Some of the people protesting the protesters or burning their favorite jerseys are saying the players are disrespecting the flag and the troops. This is laughable on its face, since from the very beginning the protesters have said that it's only about police brutality and racial inequality. It doesn't matter a bit if you think police brutality or racial inequality exist or not. If you make up your own reasons for why they are protesting and then get offended, like special snowflakes, then that's fine, but then don't expect me to take your objections seriously. Explaining how your family has a long, storied history of military service doesn't help your argument either. If anything, it makes me more surprised that you don't know better. My dad was in the military too, and he certainly knows better. I saw some funny posts saying that the players are protesting the flag like Rosa Parks was protesting public transportation, or Gandhi was protesting food. I also wondered why some people were angry about the protest but didn't seem to care when Trump's disrespect of a Gold Star family or of McCain's military service was in the news. Then all of my conservative friends seemed to simultaneously find this supposedly brilliant take by a guy named Brandon Tatum. Since he's a black man, I guess they felt this rebuttal must be irrefutable. I listened to him get increasingly triggered and yell about the flag over and over again for about 10 minutes, as if this ritual were steeped in history, even though players didn't need to be on the field for the anthem until 2009. The Department of Defense and the National Guard paid millions of dollars to the NFL over several years earlier this decade for things like welcoming home troops from war zones, honoring wounded warriors, and so on, which I thought was actually really nice until I found out it was basically a paid infomercial. After it was brought to light a couple years ago, some of the taxpayer money had to be returned. Government-sponsored patriotism always seems a little sketchy to me. The NFL players have been crystal clear from the beginning of the protests about what they are protesting. When others, including the president, scream about them being disrespectful to the troops and the flag, it just shows that those people condemning them are not listening, which is part of why they're protesting in the first place. During violent protests, they're told to be nonviolent. During nonviolent protests, they're told to stop doing that too, because some people are offended. The people protesting the protesters seem to believe that there isn't a problem at all, or that they should just shut up. What form of protest would they find more comfortable? That's a trick question. Protests aren't designed to make people feel more comfortable.